Welcome back. With the MLB Playoffs ready to kick off later today and a playoff field larger than any we've seen before, experts all over the country are making their picks for the World Series. I'm joined by Marena Sever for our final debate to give her take on who could win it all this year. Her answers might surprise you.
I honestly think, and I know that this is a hot take, but I really think if any team has the possibility to be a real Cinderella story, I have to go with Toronto. First and foremost, this team is, it's a different team than they had in 2015, 2016, but Toronto is no stranger to October magic, to postseason magic. You just have to throw it back to Game 5 of the 2015 ALDS with Bautista's bat flip, and that just answers that right there. But for this year and this, especially the wild card round that they're about to play versus Tampa Bay, I think that they can, especially since it's only a 3-game series, I just really think that they have an opportunity to kind of come from behind and take that series and move on to the ALDS. And Toronto, what has worked so well for them over the course of this shortened season is their young hitting. They have some young hitters in Vlad Jr., Bo Bichette, Biggio, who've really stepped up, and then Lourdes Gurriel Jr. and Teoscar Hernandez, who are more tenured players, have also stepped up in a big way. Teoscar Hernandez has been an offensive nightmare for the Blue Jays, really. And if you're talking about the first-round matchup against the Rays, Hernandez bats over 350 versus the Rays. So he's also very good against them. So if we're talking about a team that has the opportunity to kind of be that Cinderella story, kind of come from behind and make it farther than anyone really thought, I think it could be Toronto, especially considering the fact that I know that they're an 8 in the bracket, but they only missed out on being the 5 by 1 game to the New York Yankees, who everyone thought would be a shoo-in for the top of that division, a shoo-in for the AL pennant. So I really think that the Blue Jays are a phenomenal young team, and I think if any team can do it, it would be Toronto.
Now, Marina, what are you thinking about the NL? Who are some teams in the NL that might surprise people?
That might surprise some people. I think the Reds, and I know I kind of took this side of Toronto and Cincinnati in a debate that we did a couple weeks ago, but I think what I was saying in that debate was that the Reds really needed to get hot, and they really had a great core of players who just hadn't done what we'd expected them to thus far. And in the latter half of the season, they really did step up, and they ended up making it not even as the 8. They stepped up and made it as that 7 wildcard seed. So I think if we're talking about a team that can come from behind in the National League and maybe give some trouble there where we didn't necessarily expect trouble to happen, I think that would be the Cincinnati Reds, absolutely. The Brewers, I think, are going to be done round 1. I know that they're the other 8 seed, but I don't think the Brewers will be as surprising as maybe Toronto in the AL or Cincinnati in the NL.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Brewers are my surprise contender for this NL playoffs. And when you have 2 guys, Keston Hiura and Christian Yelich, your 2 best players, Hiura hit 212 this year, Yelich hit 205, and the Brewers were still able to sneak into the playoffs. I know they have a first-round matchup against the Dodgers, but I'm picking them to go far in the NL playoffs. I don't know about you, Marina.
Yeah, I think I think that definitely is more of a hot take in my opinion than Toronto, just because, again, like you said, they're 2 stars, and Christian Yelich is not playing like they're paying him. 205 is pretty ridiculous for him, just considering that, the beginning of the season, I honestly thought that he was going to be a shoo-in for the batting title, which obviously did not happen. But I don't know, that is an interesting take. I agree. I think last year I would have taken Milwaukee as maybe kind of a hot take, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with Toronto and Cincinnati, and you can stick with Milwaukee if you want.
Now, Marina, are there any teams in this year's playoffs that you think are being overrated, that are going in with maybe inflated records because it's only a 60-game year? Are there any teams that you think could disappoint?
Yeah, I honestly think it might be the Yankees. I want to say the Dodgers, just because they always have a habit of choking in the postseason, but I want to say the Yankees and honestly maybe even the Rays, but I'll stick with the Yankees because they will always, just by virtue of being the Yankees, be overhyped, be overrated. People will always talk about them as, oh yeah, the Yankees have the star power, the Yankees have this, that, and the other because they're the Yankees. But the fact that honestly, they can't stay healthy, which is another thing that I was worried about at the beginning of the season, and they didn't. They not only did not finish at the top of the AL East like everyone expected them to, but they only missed out on by 1 game. Toronto only finished 1 game behind them, and so they only barely missed going in as that wild card spot. So I think the Yankees, I'm looking for Cleveland to beat them round one, and I think that that will be a pretty easy matchup, especially considering Cleveland's star power this year.
Now, we've talked about the teams that might impress you, might disappoint. Let's hear it. What is your World Series prediction? Who are the two teams and who wins it all?
Oh gosh, I am less certain about the American League than I am about the National League. As a Diamondbacks fan, again, I do not want to say the Dodgers, but I just really think that they are going to have a really quick road to the World Series, so I think that will be the NL team. And as for the American League, I don't know. I'm going to say right now the A's. I think the A's can do it, but I also think that the Chicago White Sox could be a potential upset with the 2-7 seed there. So definitely Los Angeles for the National League, and if I had to pick one, I will go Oakland from the AL.
I think I'm going to go the Yankees in the AL. I think that Cole is an ace that is going to lead them there. And in the NL, I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres. You got Manny Machado, you got Tatis Jr. That team is loaded. And I know that they're in the same division as the Dodgers, but in the playoffs, that doesn't matter. They're going to beat the teams ahead of them. And I think they have the legit chance to make the World Series and maybe even win it all. But I think that that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to get on-sided, make your picks, climb up that leaderboard, and of course take a side. For all of us here, I'm Jacob Polacheck, and we'll see you next week.